Taste, 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 taste the taste of your sperm. The taste, 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 taste the taste of your sperm.
The taste, 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 taste of your sperm. The taste, 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 taste of your sperm.
Taste, 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 taste of your sperm. Taste, 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 taste of your sperm.
All together now. The taste, taste,
Taste, taste, taste, taste, taste of your sperm.
The taste,
taste, taste, taste, taste, taste of your sperm.
But yes, yeah, that sperm essentially is quite Moorish, isn't it, lads? So anyway, yes, here we are. It's the AMATO Files episode. What are we in September? It's late, so yes, it's supposed to be August. It's episode 8. You know the drill. It is me, the most handsome of the trio by quite some margin, Clive Davis. Came over.
Me.
He's got bunions, but no back door.
Yes, the most Irish of the trio, Nick.
And over there, and we're keeping it on the low down for now, but future notorious serial killer, the Butcher of Salford. It's
Gavin Whittaker. That's Mancunian.
There we go. And yeah, no, your secret's safe with us. I can just see us being interviewed now, Nick. We'll do the cliched. He seemed like such a nice man. So quiet. And yeah, probably knew a bit too much about Derek Ford films to be healthy, but otherwise.
Yeah, seemed like a stand-up bloke.
Right, so here we go. And we're back on the D'Amato trail. And we're doing all the maybe-Massaccesi Joe D'Amato films because there's something fucking wrong with us, obviously.
Yes, and, definitely. There's a point I was reading reviews as I do of the films we watch for this one, and there's a point in, I don't know which one it is, but the person has said on the IMDb release or on the IMDb write-up, they had said, for the Joe D'Amato completist only. And then I realized, oh shit,
that's us.
That's me.
Yeah, no. It's something to be proud. We should get little badges done when we're done.
Like Cub Scouts, like a little stick it onto your.
And then when you meet other people who wear, it's like a secret handshake or something like that. You all like if you see someone with a badge, you start singing the taste. No, but that's we'll just we are probably wondering why we were, because of course in pubs, cafes, garages, schools, retirement villages around the country, around the world, people are going, that's from a Franco film. Everyone knows that, right? But it will make sense.
Sort of.
So normally we're talking 9 titles this time, but actually we're kind of talking about 13 films altogether. So let us get on.
Yes, let's do that. So first up is this will be the second of his Italian Mad Max kind of post-apocalyptic rip-off things, right? Because we already talked about whatever it was. The name is already
Texas Gladiators.
Texas Gladiators, yeah. And so this is Endgame.
Yes.
Which.
Shame there isn't a porno cut of this. Bell Endgame. I would have watched that.
Indeed. And I would imagine that it's a good thing that it's not like you don't have the mom and pop video stores anymore where some child could accidentally rent this thinking it was a Marvel film and being greatly disappointed. No,
Nick, you're wrong there. They would have gone, well, that was much better than that boring Avengers film.
Fair enough. So yeah, this one's set in the year 2025. America is an irradiated hellhole with heavily armed SS troops everywhere, stalking the streets and executing transhumans. So I can only assume that this is actually what next year's going to be.
Yes, it is a documentary.
Once the great Donald reclaims his throne, this is where we're going to be. Al Cliver is going to be on the streets, you know.
Stop the steal, Nick. That's all I'm saying. Because of course, us true believers know that he never went away. He was, of course, the president this whole time, right?
Oh, yes, yes. Yes, he's in a booth or a bunker beneath the bunker underneath that pizza restaurant. You know, keeping tabs on what's going on.
So we should mention actually an interesting thing is, so the original Italian title as well is Endgame Bronx Lotta Finale, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Were they trying to tie it into 1990 Bronx Warriors and Escape from the Bronx?
Possibly.
Right.
I mean, to me, this film has less in common with Mad Max, actually, and far more in common with The Running Man, which I realize it predates, as does that Fulci, whatever that one.
Rome
the new
2033, Fighters and Centurions, yeah.
Yeah. So did anyone know when the Richard Bachman book came out? Like,
I think that's 82.
So it maybe could have been an influence on some of these scripts.
Yeah,
then.
I mean, it could be. People have debated this, but then again, it's not the first. I mean, there were films like The 10th Victim and stuff like that. Like it wasn't an eight.
Right.
The theme had been, but especially Rome 2033 really seems like very close to The Running Man, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, who knows? Maybe Arnie was an Italian exploitation fan.
Right.
Yeah, we do that, but big money. We do that with big. That's a terrible. I wasn't even trying.
So yeah, and it also feels a little bit Escape from New York as well. Again, more than Mad Max, except you know.
Well, again, and Escape from New York is the thing that 1990 Bronx Warriors and Escape from the Bronx were ripping off.
Yeah, more than Max. Yeah, because I mean, Gabrielle Tinti shows up in this one wearing an eye patch, which seemed very Snake Plissken to me.
But yeah, but it does turn into Mad Max. So yeah, the plot is there's this. So it stars Al Cliver, who is.
I like the stars Al Cliver.
Does
anything star?
I love Al Cliver. I don't know if it's just there's something about Al Cliver. I'm always really pleased to see him.
He doesn't seem Italian to me. He's too gingery looking. He looks very Irish to me, actually.
And of course, he's in that same category as Harrison Ford, a celebrity carpenter.
Carpenter, yes, yeah.
Yes.
So if he, I'm sure in the between takes, he was just putting up cabinets and stuff.
Yeah, making a table, you know, just sanding it off or something. But so it turns out that I was watching the extras on Christina, and there's a bit of a grab from the Severin release. There's like a grab bag of extras, and apparently it was a bit of a running joke, and he was in on it. Like it wasn't behind his back or anything, but apparently Al Cliver was considered like the worst actor in Italy. Like he was like really awful, like just like a lump of stone or something they would call him. And I was actually quite shocked to hear this because I've never really thought of Al Cliver as a. Is it just me or does everyone think he's awful? What do you think? I think he's fine.
Gav, do you have any thoughts?
I think the more you see of him, the more you realise he's somewhat limited. I mean, there's certain actors when we've gone on this Joe journey, like Gabrielle Tinti, George Eastman, and even Matt Shannon, where the more you see of him, the more you realise they've got, you know, quite a bit of range than his Al.
Yes, we've seen quite a bit. We've seen quite a bit of Mark Shannon as well. We've seen every nook and cranny that Mark Shannon has to offer. But I thought, like, later on we'll get to it, when we got to like Alcove and Pleasure and stuff, and I thought Al Cliver was pretty good in those. Oh, okay, obviously he's all
right, but he's definitely in the category of people like Luke Miranda and you know, who are just kind of like, yeah, very flat.
Oh, I don't know if he's leading man material. I don't know if he's leading man material. You think they're okay in like a secondary role in like Zombie Flesh Eater stuff. Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe he's not leading man material.
Yeah, not high on the charisma scale, I don't think. But But Clyde's got a soft spot for old
Yeah,
Al.
like I can imagine him swapping out Ray Lovelock in Living Dead at the Manchester Morgue. That would work.
Maybe. I'm not sold. But anyway, so yeah, you were saying, so it begins with this whole thing where it's kind of like a most dangerous game kind of a thing, right? Like the Running Man, where you're running around in this like rundown Bronxy kind of area.
Well, you know, it opens with the mushroom cloud as well, so we know it is definitely a post-apocalyptic city, and yeah, it's a televised. And what's the there's an energy drink.
Yes, very Soylent Greeny seeming,
Yes.
you know, Life Plus.
Life Plus, yeah,
yeah.
That's advertised throughout, and yeah, so basically Al Cliver's the one, he's the prey, right, who has to escape the hunters around.
Hunters, yeah. Although it seems like so you compete and there's some sort of prize involved, but then you also, it seems like they take turns sometimes, because some of them are mentioned as like, oh, they're previous winners of the game, but now they're the hunters. So there seems to be some, you can kind of choose which role you want to play. Because one of the best hunters, of course, the great George Eastman shows up.
Right.
Doing fine work. And then one the African American dude is pretty awesome too. He's got like quite outrageous costume choices.
This is Bobby Rhodes of Demon.
Was that Bobby Rhodes?
Bobby Rhodes, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even recognize him. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, so that kind of goes on for a little while. And then we kind of get the impression that there's mutants, right? And Laura Gemser shows up wearing a lot of clothes, like almost a shocking amount of clothes.
But she does go topless later on when she's raped by a mutant drooling
old
shit
fish man or whatever the fuck he is. Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she shows up and kind of, this was a bit lost on me, but basically what, like, they give him a job to kind of spirit some of these mutants away.
Yeah, so she's telepathic, and she's got a bunch of other kind of mutants that they want to get to a certain point in the desert where they'll meet another bunch of people, and it's never explained who they are actually. They turn up in a helicopter and thank him. Spoiler alert, they get there in the end. But yeah, I quite like that they don't really explain who those people are. But yeah, so he's hired to help him, and particularly there's a little kid, there's a telekinetic kid, right? And I suppose, and Gordon Mitchell's the fascist leader who's chasing them through the desert.
Oh yeah, General Gargoyle.
Yeah, and there's also Mad Maxi gangs, and they're particularly pathetic Mad Maxi gangs, I have to say. There's one dude I quite like who's like in his Dune buggy or something, and he's just got like two topless women next to him for no good reason, as far as I can tell. The music.
And also there's two groups of mutants. We have our like further down the evolutionary scale, like towards like, you know, the next stage of mankind, who have, you know, telepathic and even psychokinetic powers. And then these atavistic throwback mutants who are like kind of Planet of the Apes rejects, or yeah, the guy with the like blowfish.
It's called involution.
Yes, that's a nice term.
Yeah, they're slowly turning into like fucking mackerel or something.
And then
it almost felt up to me like, I don't know if this isn't the case, but it almost feels like when they like take 3 half-hour episodes of like a TV series and try and turn it into a film. But the first half hour is like really about the end game, and that seems to like then disappear, and then we get the blind psychic people, and then at the end you get the bits where they're up against the fishmen. I almost feel like 3 episodes of the TV series, you know,
yeah.
Very much does feel like it's stitched together out of an episode.
In particular, what's that one from I think it's from the late 70s, and it is a post-apocalyptic one where they drive around in some kind of like futuristic truck or RV or something, and there's like some dudes and a hot chick and a chimpanzee. What's that show called? I think it might even be like is it like a George Roddenberry thing? Gene Roddenberry's? Oh, okay. It might be Gene's brother that was locked in the attic. I can't remember what it's called. It's called something like Super Truck or...
Okay. I don't think I've seen it, but it sounds awesome.
Yeah, it could be 3 episodes of that. You're quite right. The other weird thing about it as well, it put me in mind. I'm pretty sure it wasn't part of the inspiration, but you got telepathic little kid and a man hired to take people into a kind of post-apocalyptic zone. It's Tarkovsky's Stalker, as made by Joe D'Amato, in a weird way.
Yeah. That seems yeah.
If you take all the art house out of Stalker,
Right,
you get Endgame.
and then he puts together a super team, which is quite nice. So he can't take them by himself, I guess, into the wasteland. So he kind of pulls together Nello Pazzafini, who's looking very like old Leonard Nimoy in this. He's got like a headband on, and he's our knife throwing guy, I think, right?
Yes, and keep Nello Pazzafini in mind later on, lads, because I really want to know if that's his cock or not. But we'll get.
I wondered that too.
Yes.
I wondered that too. Yes.
Because he's been such a decent chap up until now.
Yeah, that was quite a surprise for me. I was like, "Oh, wait a second." Yeah. And then who else is? Oh yeah. Oh, Havel Yamanuchi, right? Plays Ninja.
Ninja, yeah. Ninja, that's his name, Ninja.
Yeah.
And of course, Gabriel Tinti.
Yes, with an eye patch. And is that all?
We should mention as well that clearly in the future, this futuristic game that they play also involves people like putting on face paint, like it's mid-70s glam rock. Like,
oh yes,
they look like that dude from Wizard.
Yes.
Like the Aladdin Slane kind of motif. Yeah, it's all very glittery. And I was even thinking the spoilers again, the telekinetic kid kind of helps out by moving some rocks around and beating the fascists. Is that this film's version of when they open the Ark of the Covenant at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark? I was kind of getting end of Raiders of the Lost Ark, the melting fit, there's no faces, but it would help very much. There was lots of things in this film, like pick and mix, right? It was Woolworths, Joe D'Amato's Woolworths film.
But I didn't mind that ending. I actually quite liked the psychic kid ending. I thought it was well done.
It was one of the better bits, because this was kind of rubbish, wasn't it?
Yeah. Although it was, it passed the time well. It was slightly overlong, actually. I was surprised it like came in at like more like 100 minutes or closer to than 90 minutes. I thought it didn't need 9 extra minutes or whatever it was.
Michelle Soavi's in there as well, who was also like a AD or something on it. Worth mentioning as well that if the IMDb is to be believed, and I don't know where this was sourced from, Joe D'Amato's favorite of his own films.
It's not even my favorite of the whatever 9 we watched this week for this episode, let alone the entire run.
I don't know. Are you going to be the lone dissenting voice? Is this your new favorite film of all time, Gav? Do you have the T-shirt? Do you have the poster, the mug?
No, but I remember this used to be everywhere on video, the VHS days. Every video shop seemed to have a copy of it on it. Well,
yeah,
not video. The cheap ones that sold up like $1.99 sort of thing.
It was pretty popular. Yeah.
This in 2019 after Fall of New York, they just like in every cheap video shop. So, yeah.
Yes.
I also tell it's a favourite 2019 though. I thought this one was a bit naff compared to that one. So it's not too bad.
No, it's not awful. It's just I don't know, it'd be hard pushed. I think I probably preferred this a little bit to 2020 Texas Gladiators.
But yeah, I did.
To it.
It seemed a bit more slick and a bit more, like maybe a bit more money was.
I was thinking about this while watching it as well. Joe D'Amato's not necessarily. I mean, we've learned a lot about Joey Tomatoes, but he's not necessarily an action guy, is he?
Yes, one of my notes is just that like a lot of the fight scenes seem a little clumsy.
He's not he does mood and he does atmosphere and he does sleaze, but he's not really an action guy. I mean, even like Tough to Kill, which was kind of enjoyable. But the stuff about Tough to Kill that was enjoyable, it wasn't the actionness of it, it was the sweatiness of it, right? It was
Yes.
the grizzled macho-ness of it rather than the connected kind of energy.
No, particularly the hand-to-hand combat is all very awkwardly framed and staged and choreographed, and it was just a lot of just like two middle-aged guys kind of like
it's a bit William Shatner, isn't it?
Yeah. Not that effective. I did like the very, very end though, actually. So it gets a bit sappy near the end. I thought, oh, they're gonna really end up the schmaltzy ending with like them flying off the helicopter and him being left in the wasteland. It's very Gyro Captain at the end of Road Warrior, with Max still in the wasteland. But then suddenly we get sudden onset Luigi Montefiore appearing, and then the screaming and running at each other headlong, and then the freeze frame. And I was
was pretty good.
Actually, yes, thank you, Joe.
That was a good
ending.
It was like they both realized, we're dinosaurs. Like, come on then. Yeah, that was kind of cool. Yeah, agreed. I think just because sadly, I think we can relate.
Yeah.
I think we do belong.
There's no place for us in this new world.
We do belong to the old world very much, I think. So come on, let's just run at each other head first.
All right. Right. So on to this absolute.
Yeah, well now it's getting a bit complicated here, right? So what we're going to talk about eventually is, in terms of the timeline here, is the 1983 film that Joe D'Amato supervised called Claire.
Yes.
However, Claire is cobbled together from at least 4 other films.
Yes. So what this is I mean, it's fucking outrageous that somebody would release this to cinemas, because what it is it's your friend's dad's best of porn tape that he put together from like the 6 things he rented in like 1982 or whatever, and like chose the scenes he liked the most and just put them together onto a tape.
Well, there's a bit more to it than that, and we'll get to it. And I think all you Susan Hemingway fans will be pleased, but we'll get there.
Okay.
So, but at first it takes us back in time to a film. So basically Claire is made up of at least 3 Jess Franco films, but also 1 earlier potential Joe D'Amato film that we didn't cover because we didn't realize it was a Joe D'Amato film. This may happen again. By the way, this is the first time we've talked about this, because we did Justine and the Whip before, right? Which was Justine and the Whip, which was a D'Amato thing compiled from other Franco films. So
yes, Franco.
Yeah. So the Joe D'Amato film, maybe, which is part of the mix, is Le Hereditaire Super Porno, which is credited to Alexander Borsky. That might be Joe D'Amato, or it might be Claudio Bernabé, right? And we watched this without the benefit of any subtitles or anything like that. Stars the usual suspects: Laura Levy, Mark Shannon, Pauline Tutcher, Sonia Bennett. Has quite a nice cheerful organ music score. But
it definitely feels of a piece with that set of films.
Is it as far as I could tell, is it just a family, the patriarch is dying and they all kind of want to be in on the inheritance, I guess, so they all kind of go out of their way to please him, often sexually? Is that what's going on here? That's what I thought was going on. Is that what you both guessed was going on as well, kind of?
Seems that way, but honestly.
I mean, although this film was new to me, it just feels like I've seen it several times before. The same locations, the same people, I mean, the same set in the same room.
Yeah.
The deja vu is very strong here.
I'm getting to start to think that did I go to school with Mark Shannon? Did I see him in the shower after games, double games? Yeah. So,
but I'm always happy to see Laura.
Yeah. Again, and she's doing that kind of slightly. How deep? Oh, fuck you! But yeah, all right. I'm gonna take my clothes off. Like that she does rather well. Yeah, and yeah, no, I mean, I don't have much to say about this really. It's towards the more utilitarian side, not particularly good. So but we have, so we've done another D'Amato film,
maybe.
Yeah, so we've done our due diligence. Right. Things get more interesting when we enter the wild, wonderful, warped world of one Jess Franco, right? And of course, we don't have to do the Jess Franco podcast because of this.
Yep.
And the other Stephen Thrower. Do you both have these, the Franco books by Stephen Thrower?
No, I don't yet, but I should get them before they're impossible to get.
Yeah, these are just amazing. I mean, astoundingly good. This is the second one, Flowers of Perversion. But,
I have a very well-thumbed copy of his Fulci book.
Oh yeah, but these are just another level, I think, because the research that's gone into them is just astounding, and they helped a lot with what I'm about to talk about. So the 3 Franco films. So it's interesting. In 1978, Jess Franco made 3 films in 4 weeks for producer Robert De Nestle in pretty much the same hotel in Lisbon, right? And so there's Cocktail Special, Elephant 2, and I Burn All Over. The first 2 of which are hardcore, the third of which is a softcore film. So Cocktail Special seems to be a kind of variation on Dessart's Philosophy in the Bedroom, right? The one where Eugenie fucks her dad, basically. Spoiler alert for Dessart. As played by Benny Tuxa, I guess you pronounce it, in this film. Again, there's a lengthy, because again, we watched this without the benefit of any titles or anything. But Benny Tuxa is Eugenie. She's invited by her father's kind of dominatrix lover, as played by Ida Vargas, who quite a welcome presence in all 3 of these films, right? She plays the maid in the next film. I quite like seeing her. And yeah, so she invites Eugenie around to her house, where she's having a big orgy, and she has all her sex friends. And the title of the film comes from the delightful scene in which Eugenie drinks a rather large glass of white wine, piss, and sperm. The taste of your sperm, as the song plays on the soundtrack. It's a great catchy.
Who wrote? I'd love to know who, like, what band.
It's Daniel White. It's Daniel White, right? The Franco's usual composer. Apparently, according to the Franco book. Yes, so she drinks this special, and then spoiler alert at the end is tricked into fucking her own dad. But actually, it's kind of all right. They don't seem to.
Apparently, everyone's fine with it. Yes.
Yeah.
Also, some incredibly disconcerting and like unattractive masks worn during much of the final orgy scene. That was just like, wow, who's this for?
I love this bit.
What hunters?
Me, it's
okay. All right, that's for Clive then. Okay,
yeah.
Because nobody else is going to be
gorilla masks and like all. But what I liked about it was like a lot of the masks. The slits are too small, except they try giving blowjobs anyway, and it's just I'm wondering if I've got a paper cut on the bell end. Yeah,
there was nothing attractive or about any of that at all.
But I'll tell you, if your tastes run to the slightly pervy, I think this works as a just a slice of filth there, and isn't it? Pretty Peaches, that Desiree Cousteau, isn't she made to fuck her dad at the end of that at a party, at an orgy or something?
I just remember the doctor in the toilet scene. For some reason, that's what sticks with me.
Such a shame they never did get Desiree Cousteau to drink the Cocktail Special. That would have been. And Nick's doing faces, but don't trust him, people. He's
all right.
the worst of us all.
Moving swiftly along, Clive. We are.
Well, no, I'm on now. I'm on.
Okay. What else needs to be said about?
Well, so you weren't too keen on it, Gav? Cocktail Special. How did it work for you?
It was okay. Okay, there's a lot of stolen music on it. I want it for afterwards the Rolling Stone, a lot of Pink Floyd stuff.
Yes, Pink Floyd. Yeah.
That's
That surprised me
Jess
too.
Franco to they usually get it done.
But the important thing that is the taste of your sperm is an original composition. The film.
It's not a B-side from a Syd Barrett era Pink Floyd album.
No, that would be quite surprising. Yeah, so
I mean, they always look. I'd say they look good. Like his films always, they always look. I mean, Joe's films also look. If you can get a good print of them, then you get a sense they look good. But Franco's films, like of this era, there's something quite beautiful about the warmth of them, the color. Like it's all, I don't know.
I mean, yeah, I mean it's difficult to tell because the camera's always zooming into someone's snatch or something every, so it's kind of difficult to get an idea of. But he's got a style. He's got a style. Some of them are beautifully shot. It has to be said. But no, I think this worked as not a bad bit of just filthy,
right.
Worked on that.
Now, is Lina Romay anywhere in there?
No,
she's not at all.
That's a fake credit. That's another thing Steven goes up in his book. Yeah, she's not there. But she is in Elephant 2, which is not the sequel to Elephant, the French title for Dumbo. This is actually a film I'd actually seen before, it turns out, under the bootleg title That Certain Taste. And this does have Lina Romay. And again, this is a bit of utilitarian porn, and it seems to be a bit of a door-slamming farce set at a hotel with a multi-character, kind of like like a Hollywood film like Grand Hotel or something like that, but with
Faulty Towers if everyone was attractive, I guess.
Is this the one with the guy was like mimicking Jerry Lewis sort of thing?
Yes.
Yeah,
What a guy. It's going for it. Of course, you get the lovely Ida Vargas again, Lina Romay, Benny Tuxa, and most importantly, Susan Hemingway. Man, oh man, Susan Hemingway. It's amazing to me that she's only in like a handful of films, and they're all Franco films. Like, why was she not snatched up? And like, why is she not in hundreds of softcore sex films? She's has to be one of the most cute performers, right, of this era. She's just, so vulnerable looking, isn't she? She's like famously love letters of a Portuguese nun. I mean, she makes that film, right? The casting of her makes that. I was just surprised that she's only in these few Franco films. I think she's quite lovely. But yeah, again, nothing much to say about this one. How about you, lads? You got anything to add?
No. I mean, like it's funny enough. Although the scenes from it are what actually stuck with me most from Claire. For some reason, when I think of Claire, it's actually the scenes from that film that jump out at me. I think more than any of the other.
Right. We should mention that Susan Hemingway doesn't take part in any of the hardcore stuff, unfortunately. But we'll get to a little bit of that with Claire. So the last one of the mix. So neither of you saw I Burn All Over, right? Unfortunately, no. Which is a bit of a shame because I think this is probably the best of the three. This isn't hardcore, and this is basically a white trafficking tale. In which case, once again, the fantastically lovely Susan Hemingway gets tricked by Bridget LaHaye and her lover, and she gets sold into the white slave trade, and then they discover, she's actually the daughter of like a wealthy guy, and they realize they could have made a a bigger killing on her. So they try and get her back, basically. And what I liked about I Burn All Over is it's really grim and like it's the flip side. I mean, there's a really good extra actually on the Severin disc, Stephen Thrower talking about this film, and he makes a good point. It's kind of like one of the, so there's a lot of Franco films which are like exuberant, kind of like, yes, sex, let's have it, let's do it, woo, it's fantastic, let's just do this, and zooming in and out of tracks all day long, and it's all very hedonistic. But then every now and again he makes these kind of hangover downer, oh, what are the consequences? And this was really grim. Like there's all these girls being kept in like a cellar, and they're pumping in like this aphrodisiac gas that kind of drives them insane with lust, and it's just really grim and kind of depressing and kind of cool. I dug it.
Which pieces of Claire then come from that film?
Well, interestingly, so there's, and this is what I want to talk about when we get to Claire. There's one particular scene when Susan Hemingway is seduced in a hotel room, and then it's intimated that she's sodomized. And then in Claire, they put in the inserts, right? So it's as close as you'll get to Susan Hemingway being properly born that you'll ever get. And it set my mind. I was thinking, wow, it's a shame they don't do this practice. Think of all the other films that would have been improved from this practice of Sex and Zen 2, Clueless, Idle Hands, Career Opportunities, episodes of 8 out of 10 Casters Countdown, and Doctor Who. I mean, so many possibilities. And I suppose actually kind of both wonderfully and kind of sadly, I suppose maybe that might start happening now with
yeah, definitely could with AI. Yeah, no question.
Yes. Hooray! But yes, so yeah, so that's I Burn All Over, which I thought was kind of quite a fun, and it turns out to be another one of the, like there's a bunch of Franco films which star his detective character Al Pereira, right? It's like he did a whole bunch of them, different people playing them over the years. This is an Al Pereira movie. I didn't realize that. There's like this guy skulking around. It looks like a docker or something. And then eventually at the end, he turns out to be, yes, Master Detective Al Pereira, who's, yes. So, and yes, so all of the last 4 films we just talked about were then stuck in a blender. And in 1983, D'Amato made Claire.
So, the question, like, I mean, I would love to have this with a dub or a sub to understand if they made any attempt to thread these things together narratively, because not only does it not seem like they did when you watch it, but then it even feels like individual sex scenes don't make sense or hang together because they're sometimes comprised of footage from 2 or 3 other films just chopped together, right? So
yeah, well, also different characters turn up as, like, so Ida Vargas is in it, at least 2 or 3 different people, right? Isn't that the same? But now she's the maid, and now she's the what? What's going on?
Yeah, I'd love to know what attempt was made, or was any attempt made to actually write a story.
There's different strata of this stuff, and who back when we were back when we were all Fields, who would have thought that you would have got the Sensual World of Black Emmanuel box set, right? So give it another decade, there might be a Severin release of Claire with fucking extras and comments. And so your dream may come true, Nick. Be careful what you wish for.
Because I definitely have questions, so I'd be interested to know what those answers are.
Right. Meanwhile, yes, I guess
it's totally incoherent seeming anyway from the outside. Not without subs, it just seems like, as I said, I think my comment stands. It feels like your friend lent you his dad's tape that he made with 2 VCRs.
Yeah, your friend's dad who had a Susan Hemingway fetish, and
Yes.
For that, the Susan Henway fan in your life will be thrilled if you gift them this Christmas with a copy of Claire.
Which, again, we're pretty sure Joe D'Amato is responsible for.
Yes, yeah, he did. He was. Yeah.
Okay.
And no involvement from Franco at all.
Quite cheeky, really.
Oh, Cheeky Joe Tomatoes, yeah. With his little grinning bearded grin.
I have a comment. We'll get to that when we get to something later. But I have a feeling he must have been overjoyed at something that happens in one of these. Andy, we'll get to it when we get to it.
Okay. Well,
are we on to love? Are we on to Love in Hong Kong?
We are on to Love in Hong Kong, 1983. Another Alexander Borowski this time. Joint.
I have some questions from the outset about this too. I would love to know who is the dubbing team responsible for this, because it feels very much like they were seeing the film for the first time and being asked to make up their own dialogue on the spot. Because there are parts where like it's just literally like, oh look, there's a dog, or like they're just commenting on what we're seeing on the screen.
Can I just say, Nick?
Yes.
Okay, Siggy, why don't we have an affair? I'm kind of sexy. Is one of the
one of the nice non sequiturs for sure.
Yeah, no,
I just couldn't figure out if they were like absolutely bored when they were doing this film, or just like taking the piss. I mean, but I did think exactly the same thing. It's like the first time we were watching it, like do we just make it up and go on? Oh, hello, I'm on the phone. Oh, who is that? Oh, that's not point. Okay, put the phone down now.
Yeah, you missed your calling. You could have done.
Yeah, at one point somebody literally says, "I'm going over there now," and just walks out of frame.
Yeah,
But I was also thinking, it seems like
some bong water was turned brown.
I suspect so. There's also like it felt to me like we used to show videos to like non-native speakers of English to like teach them like English conversation, and it would like there was parts that really felt like good morning. How are you? Would you like a coffee? Oh, yes. Yes, I would. Like just
are you saying they should screen Love in Hong Kong at Ellis Island?
Yes, exactly.
The thing about Love in Hong Kong is it's absolutely innate. Like the story is just
the lowest stakes. The lowest stakes I've ever seen in a movie. It doesn't matter at all.
However, I would be lying if I didn't say I quite enjoyed it. Like, I kind of had a good time with this from Kent. The other thing as well is from Kent International, like, who? And one of the producers is this guy called K.L. Kim, who also had something to do with Sakura Killers. And it is all shot. The other thing, actually, some people might dig it because it's got some really good Hong Kong location work, some things that aren't there anymore, right?
Right.
There's like the Tiger Balm Gardens. I don't think they're there anymore. I don't know if you can still do the cable cars around Aberdeen Harbour, and there's Ocean Park Fairground, which probably looks really different. In fact, I looked it up. It's about to close next year, I think, because they know Endgame is coming, I suppose.
Yes, of course.
But yeah, so this is worth putting. It's worth talking about the story because the story. I mean, it's.
Well, it stars our old favorite Pauline Teacher, which is that is literally they spelled her name Teacher. And apparently, although she is like a mid to late 40s German Hausfrau, she is impossibly attractive to the average Chinese male. Everyone is very keen to jump into bed with Pauline.
Yeah. So, yeah. So this is so fucking stupid. So she's a journalist, right? So she's a journalist working at Hong Kong, and she's working on a story, which to me sounds like a much more important story about a really unsafe building development that's being made at the beginning. That's the beginning. You're thinking, that's a proper story. That's like she's a proper journalist, right? That's I can see how that would be important. These buildings are going to fall down. It's a Grenfell Tower story or something like that. But she's quickly reassigned because the editor, who I believe is called the Pink Panther, decides because another paper has increased their circulation dramatically. by including some sort of, I don't know, sexy pictures of people getting up to naughty shenanigans around Hong Kong.
Yeah.
So he immediately moves her from the proper important story, and her new assignment is actually, I don't even like what.
But yeah, I mean, it seems like not only so, yeah, she's been told go and find us salacious, nude photographs involving possible celebrities or whatever politicians. But then she has to then engineer this because it's not even like she doesn't even follow. She's like, okay, well, I guess we'll just entrap people.
Well, I don't think it even has to be politicians or famous people. That's like
anyone.
Yeah.
Anyone who's.
So she hires a couple of her friends. She hires Marianne Auber, who was in 6 Swedish Girls in the Alps. Is she the one who looks like Meg Ryan? One of them looks like Meg Ryan. Yeah, for Erwin C. Dietrich, that's the one. And Elodie Delage, oddly enough, is in another one in the 6 Swedes series for Erwin C. Dietrich, High Test Girls, which is my favorite one. That's a top bit of Erwin Dietrich sleaze. It's got a fantastic slow-mo topless run through the forest scene to that awesome music from Mad Foxes.
Is this before or after Graham Chapman gets chased by those topless girls
to his death?
To his death in Meaning of Life.
Someone needs to make a supercut with that music. That also turns up in some Franco films as well, right? That music, I think, that he made for Quincy Dietrich. Anyway, so she hires her friends to fly over to Hong Kong. She then enlists a photographer. In the shape of Jimmy Lee, aka Long Fong, who was he was in some kung fu films. He's not a huge star, but he was in some stuff. He starred in a few things. He's actually in Rebellious Reign, which we're going to do on our kung fu show soon. And yeah, basically they have to go and of course
create a scandal. They're told to come and create a scandal. Mark Chapman's looking particularly goofy in this one. Yes. In his
If you want to see a picture of if you want to see Mark Shannon's humping face in slow-mo, this is the film for you. That's how he's introduced in this film, right? Is him good?
And it's worth mentioning this is softcore, even though it's full of hardcore actors. It's actually a softcore film.
Yeah, but all these performers, we should say, Mariana were and Elodie Delage. Yeah, no strangers to.
It's very short as well. It's like 69 minutes. I wonder if this could have been hardcore.
Yeah, I was wondering that
all of it removed. Yeah,
hardcore version. I don't know. It's difficult to tell because certainly I don't think Jimmy Lee and some of the other people would have got it, but they could have shot that stuff separately. Right? Yeah. So basically, they go around the city and try and get some people in compromised positions and then take photographs, and the photographs keep getting sabotaged because so Lily Chan Lee, who's in some horror films, actually she's in Bewitched, and she's in the very weird Hex After Hex, which I'm sure we'll get to on the Shaw Brothers show in about a million years, in which a statue of Thomas Jefferson comes to life. I shit you not.
Okay.
And so she sabotages the whole thing. Not sure why. And in the end, it turns out it doesn't matter, and everyone's friends, and she goes out with Jimmy Lee anyway. So that's
Because I mean, he has a line that says like he's something along the like apparently we're together now.
Yes, and he's never unmasked, right? Even though she keeps walking into the dark. Oh shit! I turned the light on again, or throwing just they never figure out it's her.
No, but I was also thinking
they don't care.
Does this make sense to an audience watching this now? I mean, we're of a vintage where the idea of exposing a roll of film in a dark room and it being lost is the end. But it feels to me it's a bit like the lost letter story, which they just you can't do that trope anymore, right? Unless you're setting your story, or the missed phone call, right? We just don't have that stuff. So because if you took a picture with a digital camera or your phone, you can immediately upload it or share it with somebody else. I just are the kids who are coming to see Love in Hong Kong, are they getting what this is all about? I worry.
It's the least of this film's worries. There's also a seduction on one of those great double-decker buses that they have in Hong Kong as well. Actually, speaking of Jimmy Lee, odd actually, this film's 83, and I was looking at the Jimmy Lee filmography, and unless maybe he did some television, which is quite popular, we'd have to ask our mate Rodney. There's a gap between 81 and 89 on the Hong Kong movie database, and he's not in anything, but he is in this. So I don't know what the story behind that is. Also, the soundtrack, every now and then it's not that, but for a while I was thinking, is this a Muzak version of Ichiku Park by the Small Faces? Again, but then it veers off and it turns into something else. So I don't know. It's a Muzak version of something, but I'm not quite sure what. Yeah, stupid fucking film in every possible.
I do like how when they're trying to entrap people, they're so obviously like hanging out like the others, like the photographer, and they're always like right next to them as they're at the seal town. It's just like, we're just here.
At a certain point, they all go to dinner together, right?
Yes.
And there's never a discussion, to your point, Gav, maybe there are cuts. There's never a discussion where they told the people what they're doing. They're just all eating. And you're thinking, well, if you all know what's going on, then you don't even have to go to the trouble of pretending anymore, right? You can actually stage it and everyone's in on the gag, but they still go to the trouble of like cable cars and then there's one really good scene which is clearly guerrilla filmmaking where the girls are walking through the streets and like taking their tops off and passes by you like, you know, goggle-eyed. Yeah, they must have kind of hoofed it pretty quick so they didn't get any trouble with the Hong Kong police, right? But as daft as it all is, I quite enjoyed Loving Hong Kong. I might even watch it again one day. How did you feel about Loving Hong Kong, lads? The film, not the general.
It's better lightweight fluff, isn't it? I mean, yeah. It's okay. It's okay. It's not one of his best, though, is it?
No, but sometimes you want a bit of lightweight fluff, you know, with stupid dubbing, and it put a spring in my step. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I probably enjoyed this more than it deserved to be enjoyed. I found it strangely entertaining, and I think the dub job really helped.
Oh yeah,
Something about that dub job. It's like the way, it was not quite Mad Fox's Mad, but it was in that territory.
Well, the thing is, it's not the usual voices as well, isn't it? That's the thing. So you're like,
because it's not the usual it's not the European ones, and it's also not
only the Hong Kong ones. No. It's not them. So yeah, I think it's some beginners, right? Like, if you dub Love in Hong Kong, get in touch.
Drop us a line. We would love to hear.
If you were in a cable car over Aberdeen Harbour, let us know. Did you go to Tiger Balm Gardens? Nice looking place.
Agreed.
It reminded me there's a theme park I went to in Vietnam which has a very similar kind of design to it. I'm wondering if it might actually be, because I think once upon a time Tiger Balm Gardens was like a big deal that all tourists would go to, right? So it's kind of cool to see it. Right. Okay. So
moving on.
Bit of information break here.
Okay.
So the way we've got this planned out.
Clive's going to do an ad for fucking Life Plus.
Yes. Don't forget to drink Life Plus. Guaranteed to turn you into ALCOVE overnight. So the way we've sorted this out is there's a pretty even split. There's 100 or so straight up Joe D'Amato films, and then there's another 100 straight up hardcore films, right? And the idea is we're going to talk about all the non-hardcore, although some of them do have.
We have actually talked about quite a few now. Yes,
but then the purely utilitarian ones that seem to have started in '95 when Joe D'Amato just went for it and just made nothing but porn for a while. We're going to cover them in a separate bonus extra show. If we get to it, hopefully by the end of the year. If not, it might be in January, whatever. We're not gonna we're not going to
ourselves.
tax ourselves too much over this, no, but we'll try our best. So that was the plan, right? And then turns out, oh, Joe actually made quite a lot of hardcore or had hardcore incest and a lot of that, but still more. Some of the films we watched, like for instance the super porno one, it's almost borderline, right? But more or less that's about right. You've got the 100 over here, you've got the hardcore, right? And that's what we're sticking to. And then I come across, there's a bunch of films made, there's 10 of them, made between 1984 and 1985. They're called the Lucky Fardeli series, at least on Wikipedia. Don't know why, because you haven't watched any of them yet, have you, lads?
No.
Did you watch any of them, Gav?
I've had a look through them. Yeah.
Okay. Did you have you figured out why they're called the Lucky Fardeli series yet?
Well, that's just a director's credit, I think. But...
Oh, is that what it is? Is that the pseudonym?
Yeah.
Ah, okay, right. There we go. Gav's got the goods. I didn't even know that. I was just like, what the fuck are these? Yeah, so, and we don't know if Joe D'Amato directed them, shot them, was an AD, but he had something to do, and they were made for his MAD production company, right? So they come chronologically about here, after Love in Hong Kong and before our next film we're going to talk about. But we'll
it does make sense. There's this weird gap in his given the number of films he's putting out per year up until this point, and then suddenly there's kind of like 1984 gets
he's lazy. He only does like 3 or something. Yeah,
it is weird. Like, so it does actually make sense to me that that he could have done these 10 in
oh yeah, definitely. He's definitely got involved with them in some way. So anyway, we will be getting to them when we get to the hardcore special, right? So we haven't forgotten about them.
Just in case you were very anxious at home right now.
Well, I'm sure
like, oh my god,
they've skipped over the Lucky Fardeli. Who are these fucking retards? But no. We don't worry. We'll come back. So with that out the way, we shall move on to what I call the, I guess, pervy posh people quartet. Pervy posh people in the 1930s quartet.
Yeah, the fascist element of all this is fascinating to me. That suddenly we have all these films dealing tangentially with like Abyssinian politics and like Mussolini's, adventurism in Africa and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So yes, so here we have the Alcove, the Pleasure, Christina, and A Lustful Mind. So kick off with the Alcove, which I'm going to say straight up, I think is probably the best of these 4 for me. I thought this was pretty good. So
I think I might agree. It's still not my favorite of this set. We'll get to that later.
Okay, yeah. So 84. So this again, Al Cliver, hooray!
Yes.
By the way, don't get excited when you see the opening music credit for Cluster. It's not the legendary krautrock band at all. That would have maybe been exciting, but it's not them. Sorry.
Okay.
Someone else. So Al Cliver, some kind of military dude, right?
Yeah, possibly a black shirt of some affiliate with Mussolini.
So according to the source, if you look it up, it's set in 1936, but I don't think they actually specify exactly when it is. But it's it's all the 4 of these films, they very briefly mention fascism, and they don't really do anything particularly interesting with it.
Although there is a lot, like this is the one where they really do lean into a lot of the kind of like racist abuse and stuff,
Yeah,
so
but that just feels like bog standard racist abuse as opposed to a specific Italian fascist.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah.
It's never been, up to this point, Joe never seems to be a particularly political filmmaker, and yet with these you see a lot of, I mean, not overtly political films, a lot of references to fascism and Mussolini.
Yeah, that's why I get the sense he wasn't comfortable, maybe. Like, I don't think he was really into making statements.
So is this more the writer then? Is this Ugo Moretti?
Yeah, I don't know. But they all have different writers as well, these 4 films. They're
Okay.
not the same. But anyway, so he returns from Abyssinia to his household with what he refers to a genuine black person as a present.
As played by
Laura Gemser. Laura Gemser is what's her name? Zerbal, right? Who's a
yes.
Abyssinian princess who's been gifted to ALCOVE by her dad because of something he did in Abyssinia. And he gifts it in turn to his missus, which the lovely Lily Karate from Awesome to Be 20.
Yeah, oh, yes, yes.
And we'll be seeing a lot more Lily Karate. And Lily Karate's, while Al's been away, has been having some lesbian shenanigans with her kind of, I don't know, her live-in kind of companion, I guess.
And she's also the secretary because she's the one who's got. She types up Cliver's novel.
Yes, because apparently he's a poet or something. He's like a war poet or something. As played by Annie Bell of Absurd fame. And we get Nello Pazzafini as the gardener. We'll get to him a little bit later.
Yeah, that's the most thankless. I mean, and like he's a guy who's well known for thankless roles, but he's literally just like porting suitcases around the entire movie. He barely has a line of dialogue.
Yeah, he's like Hal Boski in an Andy Milligan film, except he doesn't have the hunchback.
Yeah.
So yeah, these fantastically racist people are basically very horrible to Zerbal. But Zerbal is kind of ingratiates her way into, and Annabelle becomes jealous because she becomes the new lover, and Lily Karate teaches her how to play the piano and snort cocaine.
Important skills, yeah. And
then the son enters the picture as well. The son character who has his late mother's has an inheritance of her jewels, right, which they all kind of end up fighting over as well. So yeah, it's basically a bunch of, and the thing is, it's interesting as well that it would be very easy for them to make Laura Gemser like just the kind of, you know, the hero of the piece in a way against these kind of racist fascists and turns the tables on them. But actually, she's not really a particularly sympathetic character either. Like, it's a film that there's no sympathetic character. They're all kind of assholes, really.
Yes.
Which I like. I know some people have problems with films where there's no character you can relate to, but if you can relate to it, I thought this was surprisingly engaging, and I quite liked the alcove. I thought it worked as like a nice little pressure cooker of a erotic drama. It was all right. It was the best of these 4, I thought.
It's interesting. It reminded me a little bit of do you remember Orgasmo Nero, which is the one with Richard Harrison, where he kind of adopts Lucia Ramirez and takes her back to the house, and she ends up having an affair with his.
Yeah.
And then there was a little bit of that kind of same vibe of, like, you know, you have the middle class white people, and then they're bringing in this kind of exotic, you know, outsider, and everything kind of blows up in their face, right?
Yes, that's true.
This is like into the sort of anti-colonialism of the Dominican Republic film. That sort of thing.
Yeah, that's definitely an element, but a very astute observation made by none other than Kim Newman back in the day when this came out in the 80s. And I think he's on to something here. This film in particular, but also this whole 4, these kind of posh pervs in the 30s. He reckons, and I'm kind of in agreement with him. The Tinto Brass version of Junichiro Tanezaki's novel The Key, which we talked about, was kind of a surprise hit in 1983, and I reckon this does feel like D'Amato doing Tinto Brass. Did you get that? I was thinking this is very Tinto Brass like. I think that might be the impetus. It was the fact that film was a hit, and then they rolled out, oh, we need to make a film set in the 30s with some perverts, and you know, we'll hit the big time just like our mate Tinto. I think Kim Newman must be onto something there. I think that's like quite a good observation, as he's wont to do.
This is also the one too where I just remembered where Al Cliver for some reason goes off to some war widow's house and really hits her up to get her porn collection.
That's right. He decides to make his own stag film.
Yes.
Which is where there's suddenly there's hardcore in the middle of a softcore film, right?
Yes.
Quite hardcore, which is quite surprising.
Yeah, that is weird, and it's very vintage looking. You know, it may have even I was trying to figure out if this was like his genius at doing that, like the way he was able to do it in Emmanuel and you know in America,
right? Or if it's just a more
actually they just had stag loops from the 1920s.
Yeah,
that
I'm not sure actually because they are pretty convincing. It has to be said. And of course, yeah, they drag Nello Pasafini into this when they make a stag film, and yeah, there is a semi-erect member that seems to be maybe attached to Nello Pasafini or not as difficult to tell. So, Nello Pasafini fans, do we know? Did he get his knob out? This film? Also,
spoilers, but it has quite an astonishing ending, like death through flaming celluloid.
Yeah. Nicely done. Like I said, I think this was quite a grim kind of little.
Although this is the one that I had the mea culpa moment, because this is the one where the IMDb, one of the reviewers just says for the Mato completists only.
Well,
you would disagree.
I'll proudly wear that badge when it comes to this one.
This seems to be like one of his like more highly regarded films from the mid-80s. So.
Yes, I think so. I deservedly so. Do we all agree that this is not bad?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So, lads, are you ready for some pleasure?
As long as it's the pleasure, then yes.
It is. It is. You're quite right. Well called. Blimey with this. What smooth transitions. We could little radio DJs.
So did anyone else notice that at this point, and I realize that this doesn't make any sense in terms of like, you know, like actual chronology, but that somehow Gabriel Tinti is aging into Mads Mikkelsen. Like in this last bunch of films, there's something that like he's getting very Mads Mikkelsen looking to me.
Yes, which is odd because Mads Mikkelsen is younger.
Yeah, quite a bit younger. That's why I think chronologically it makes no sense.
Yes, it kind of looks. I know what you mean. He kind of looks. I'm a big Mads Mikkelsen fan, I have to say.
Me too.
I don't think you pronounce the.
Oh, is it just Mad?
Maz, I think.
Maz Mikkelsen.
Maz Mikkelsen or Mad. It's one of them you don't pronounce. Anyway, it's your own fault for having a stupid foreign name.
Yes.
He's called Brian, something like that. Brian Mikkelsen. There, try that on. Mads, whatever your name is. Yes, so The Pleasure. Very much a companion piece to the Alcove, I think. One I had actually seen before as well, because this is one of the ones that either Redemption or Jezebel put out. Do you remember this being about on VHS back in the day, Gav?
I think so, yeah, but I skipped quite a few of those Jezebel ones. So, but yeah, I think
me too.
Come out with them.
It's funny actually now because when we get to Lustful Mind as well, we watched the Jezebel VHS print of that, right? And I was thinking about it in retrospect because I was, like you, I'm sure, a big fan of the Redemption label back in the day. And yeah, like you, skipped a lot of a bit unfairly in a way because I think back then all the fans were clamoring for, well, yeah, all right, let's sort mine, pleasure, whatever. But what we really want is, you know, Emmanuel in America and stuff like that. And of course, when you're not going to get it, you're just not going to get it legally. And I think Jezebel and Redemption did a bang up, you know, a noble job of, well, you can't have the really good stuff, but in the meantime, we'll give you these, you know, things, and unfortunately, little snot noses like you and me kind of skipped them, right? But
I think people were a bit more selective back then. I think you didn't tend to like just get. I think today you have people who like collect everything a boutique label puts out, but back then people tend to skip titles and didn't.
Less disposable income as well, right? Because they would have been sell-through titles, and unless you lived in a major city where some video stores bought them, you were looking at buying them, right, rather than renting them. And Jezebel or a Redemption tape would have been 10, 15 quid or something. Yeah. So I remember a big part of my kind of childhood and teenage was going to like Our Price or somewhere like that, and just looking at all the tapes and like, I can afford to buy like one. Or a CD or something. And the most annoying one, because around the same time, with nostalgia here, but they were booming. So you had like when Vitco came back, right? And they were all the Vitco titles and stuff as well. And then it was the early days of Tartan Video, and you had all that stuff as well. But the most annoying ones were because it was also the anime boom post Akira in the UK, and those are the most annoying rip-off seeming, because at least with the other tapes you had a whole film.
Yes.
Put those fucking anime things out like one episode at a time. Right?
Two.
Like,
yeah.
Same price, 15, 20 quid and 13 minutes. Like.
Yeah, and if you wanted to watch the entire series, it's what, like, it's going to be 40 tapes. If they ever, and they won't put them all out. They'll put out the first 5 and then they'll stop.
Yeah.
I saw buying, was it all like wealthy children? Was it like if you went to like Oxbridge, like all these
adults
would have, you know, like, yeah, maybe, I don't know,
like nerdy adults who had the disposable income back then. It probably wasn't being bought by kids. It was an older generation of anime nerds, whatever,
I guess. But anyway, yeah, I remember The Pleasure. I did actually see The Pleasure back in the day, and I thought it was not bad. And yeah, my opinion hasn't changed. It's like not bad, but not quite as good as the Alcove.
It's got Lily again, which is
yeah, that's all good. Yes,
you end up going into hardcore later on, right? I'm not wrong about that. That she starts off. I feel like am I right about this? That Lily Karate ended up doing hardcore films later in her career.
Hope so. I'm not sure, but
okay. Anyway, I think that may be the case. Sorry if it's
you just tarnished someone's reputation.
Yep.
Yeah, she had sex with an orangutan in that film, right?
Well, she's quite a super nanny.
Every which way but tight.
Right. Jesus Christ.
That was not bad for off the cuff.
That was not bad. I'm quite
impressed.
That was impressive, Clive. I'm just gonna look at. I don't want to insult Lily if this is not true. So I'm just gonna look her up.
The star of Every Which Way But Tight, you mean, with her and,
yes,
and Clyde the orangutan.
Wrong
hole, Clyde.
Jesus. Oh my God. No, she did work with Rocco Siffredi.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
So well, yes,
the poor woman. I hope
she did very early.
Might be preferable.
Right, yeah, there you go. Rocco at some point in the later 80s, so very, very early in his career.
Have either of you, by the way, either of you watched the Rocco Bio series?
No, I keep meaning to.
Yeah. Apparently, it's a from what I read, it's a little bit of a hagiography whitewash. Like apparently now he's like
Saint Rocco,
a feminist or something like.
Wow.
But I'll reserve judgment until I watch it. Yeah, I keep forgetting about it as well, and then thinking, oh yeah, I should really watch that.
So anyway, so this is basically about Gabriele Tinti, who has a huge collection of like homemade porn recordings of his dead wife, and he's obsessively listening to them. And then,
but no, it's not his dead wife; it's his dead lover.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
Yeah, and he's also credited as Steve Weiler in this film as well.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, he's got them on this. So again, it's like the 1930s. It's a chick as played by Andrea Guzon, who
she plays two characters.
Yes,
she plays the original dead lover and then the daughter of said dead lover.
So she met in Venice, and then for some reason she's around. It is confusing, but she's around the house with him and his new wife, who is Lily Karate, and she drops dead. So then her daughter and son, Andrea goes on, and a guy called Marco Mattioli.
We will see again.
Yeah, they're their guardians now.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And they turn up, and immediately you're aware that there's a fucked up family, right? Because what does he say? He says something like, when he meets, he doesn't shake hands or something. He has I find this contact to be too much. No one does it anymore, or something like that. And you think, what's up with this guy? And then he almost has an epileptic fit, which he can only calm down by sucking his breasts.
Mm-hmm.
And you realize, oh, hang on, this is not the Cosby Show, right? There's something. Although I suppose in retrospect,
it was probably fairly innocent by comparison.
Yeah.
But yes, and so yeah, so she kind of really becomes like his super nanny then, basically, because he loses his virginity to her later on.
Well, to the mother, to Lily Karate.
Yeah.
Yes, and then
so you're right. Originally, it's the sister. I forgot, and
then
then Lily Karate takes over the role of.
Yeah, so there's that's going on, but primarily it's about Guzon, the daughter, trying to seduce the father, Gabriel Tenti, going so far as to work in a bordello, which her mother used to work at, and then he used to frequent, and then he turns up and tries to make him jealous by sleeping with other people.
Yeah, she goes to the movies and gives a guy a handy or whatever.
Yeah,
also to make him.
Basically, she's trying to fuck her new dad. Spoiler alert: she succeeds.
There's a bit of anti-fascist stuff in there again. It turns out that like Gabriel Tinti's dad was an anti-fascist, and now they don't.
They
won't take it seriously.
Bit of that. But it's again, it's quite the grim kind of it would similarly to this didn't work for me as well as the Alcove, but again, this series seems to diminish as it goes along. So this is Alcove's solid, Pleasure's not bad, and then it starts to drift off when we get to Christina and A Lustful Mind. Are we in agreement, or maybe? Okay.
I think I watched them in that sort of order anyway, so you did feel like they were declining.
Yeah, and they all seem to open with a vintage car driving during the opening credits, right? That's pretty much how they all start, isn't it? It's another vintage car opening.
And Laura Gemser's in this one. Not that much. She works at the opium den or whatever, right?
Like an opium den therapist, even, right? Like she should mention one of the screenwriters is our old pal Claudio Fragasso, right?
Oh yeah.
And a bunch of these films are kind of, there's a couple of, is it Christina or Lustful Mind, or they're credited as being based on books that don't actually exist, right? But this one is based on a genuine book. This is based on a book apparently by someone called Nicolas Restif de la Bretonne, who Harry Kamel of Daughters of Darkness fame. He made an erotic anthology film in the 80s called The Secrets of Love, and one of the segments in that is also based on a story by Nicolas Restif de la Bretonne. That's all I got.
I would say that what's her name? Andrea Guzon.
Yeah.
I think she's very cute in the scenes where she's wearing the big period piece wig thing when he meets her at the beginning, and then she appears at the very end again, playing the daughter in the same getup. I thought she's cute.
If you're interested, she's also in Sadomania, speaking of Jess Franco.
Okay.
And apparently she has a really small role in Conan the Barbarian somewhere.
Okay.
Villager giving birth or something like that, apparently.
Wow. And also, I think, I actually have to say, Gabrielle Tinti running around in a tuxedo in Venice is very James Bond looking. I thought, like, he would have made an okay, like, older Bond kind of, well, I guess, let's face it, Roger Moore was already, 70-year-old Bond, so why not?
Yeah, those last few Roger Moore Bonds are...
Yeah. Very, yeah. septuagenarian Bond. But yeah, I said for me it was fine. Although actually, I have a final note here. It says, having sex in tweed trousers is something I hope never to experience. I just kept thinking, like, there can't be anything comfortable about trying to have sex with somebody while you're wearing tweed. Unless, Clive, you have information
No.
about this personal.
So a tweed does make a man look distinguished, especially on the elbows.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
It shows that you're an open-minded fellow as well.
This is true.
Yes.
But tweed pants.
Going back to the extras on that, Christina, we're going to talk about next. Mark Shannon actually talks about getting sand under your foreskin and how uncomfortable that is. Yeah, so there is, even though we didn't see it, there is a Blu-ray of The Pleasure out there now, which runs longer than the version we saw, I think. I don't know if there's much substantial in it, though. Anyway, onward we go. Christina, aka Scandalous Emmanuel, which I think is what the Severin Blu-ray has it as, and it's also aka Peep Show. And now we're really starting to get a bit tedious, aren't we?
Yeah, this one's a real good, I thought.
Bit of a Belle de Jour kind of rehash, starring Jenny Tamburi, who, I mean, I don't mean to, I'm not being mean or anything, but the fact that the way everyone's reacting to her, like, she's a little long in the tooth for this part, but just a bit. She's a few years too old for this role, I think. Is that fair?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, fuck it. Even if it's not, that's what I think. So, yeah. So this was. Oh yeah. What the fuck?
This is the one about where she's the husband is kind of like, the husband's a voyeur basically, right? And she gets involved.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, and he
kind of pimpy young guy who then kind of takes her to a brothel where there's a one-way glass, and
that's right. Yeah,
various people go and kind of yeah. Really, you know, a lot of B-day.
That was me yawning, by the way, not opening.
Whichever.
Both work, I guess.
Yep.
It's a very decadent, isn't it? To yawn while being given head, but how tedious that you are once again sucking my cock.
This was definitely in the law of diminishing returns for me.
Yeah, very little to say about this one. It's odd that this is, I guess, this is probably the one that had the elements or whatever. It's odd that this is the one that's gotten the Severin Blu-ray, right? But yeah, it's just bored, posh people knobbing, including Laura Gemser, again, Lily Karate. Yeah. Is that it? Is it, I think? Gav, thoughts?
Yeah, there's a bit of a drop in quality from the ALCOVE to this, isn't it, really?
Yeah, I mean, I'm wondering if it's the next one is maybe slightly more interesting than this one, but not much, right? So this is A Lustful Mind. Again, we watched the English dub, 84 minutes. I'm not sure if this is uncut or not, put out by Jezebel. As Lust, again, fascist 30s, pervy posh people, vintage car in the opening credits. Yada yada. In this case, so this was interesting. I wasn't aware of this, so I didn't have a chance to tell either of you or watch it myself. So this seems to actually be a bit of a possible rehash or remake of a film called Come Play With Me. Now, don't get excited, Gav. It's not that one. It's one from 1968. A Salvatore Samperi film starring Lou Castel, actually. Apparently, as like in that film, he's like some sort of physically impaired young man who goes to an auntie's house and seductions. So apparently, this is a kind of a a version of that. Unofficial, no doubt. Except in this one, Mark Dean Phillips, who was the very ineffective Don Morell in Convent of Sinners, which we'll get to, right? And he's like a young man who can't speak, traumatized by the death of his mother, I guess. So his dad, good old top thespian ALCOVE, who was robbed of an Oscar once more.
He's more of a special guest star in this, that he's actually not on screen all that much. I don't.
And yeah, so they go and stay with his sister, his aunt, right? Aunt Marina is played by Noemi Chelkov, who I don't think was in anything else. Oh no, sorry. Noemi Chelkov is the new mother, the wife, right?
Okay.
Aunt is played by. It's her again. It's
Lily.
Yeah, but you know we like us some Lily Karate. We can't.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. In fact, we could say this is a full 9 karate. Never mind. No, okay, nothing's working.
No.
Goes off to her villa, which is the Villa Parisi in Frascati, which you've seen in such classics as Burial Ground.
Oh.
Patrick Still Lives, Hatchet for Honeymoon. Gav, you were saying it's in the new film Immaculate as well, right?
Yeah.
So they're still using this place. The Murder Clinic. Blood for Dracula as well.
But the Pleasure as well, I think, was shot there. I didn't notice a few.
Okay.
Burial Ground, yeah.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah, the Pleasure was shot there, I think. But that bathroom scene where I think it's the same bathroom where the zombie gets her brains bashed out on the.
Which one?
The Pleasure, I think. Yeah.
No, the zombie bashed out. Which one was that?
From Burial Ground. Yes.
Oh yeah, but yeah. No, it's definitely in Burial Ground. And also Ursula Fotti turns up as like a fresco restorationist.
Yes, sexy fresco restorationist, which is not a genre or whatever, or not a.
No, but I could do it more. There's a lot of upskirt stocking stuff.
This one has a lot of kind of POV shots from young whatever his name is, Alessio's, of him like looking up as ladies like lower themselves onto him from above.
Yeah,
it's to be like his only sexual fantasy to play out different people.
Pretty much.
Turns out he can't talk, shoots himself. Spoilers, end.
Yep.
Quite boring, I would say. I mean, it's marginally less boring than maybe I have a thing for upskirt, sexy fresco restorationists, which I didn't know.
And now you do, so you can thank.
Now I know. Now I know. Now I need to see if I can integrate a cocktail special into the mix, and we're off to the races.
My last note just said plenty of atmosphere in this, but not much else.
Yeah, I think it might make a difference. It would be nice to see a cleaned up version of this because it does use a lot of like natural light and stuff, right? So watching it on this old VHS is like, what's going on there then? It would definitely, I don't know if it would play that much better as drama, but it would, I could imagine it's quite a beautiful looking film if seen properly, right? So maybe a third runner-up after Alcove and Pleasure in this set. Agree, disagree? Is Christina the worst? Is the most boring?
I think Christina's the worst,
yeah.
This one, not to the Alcove and the Pleasure, but definitely a step up from Christina.
Yeah, I can see maybe potentially me liking A Lustful Mind a little bit more if I saw it cleaned up, but you know, I'm not jonesing for it.
No.
Okay, let's move on to something a little bit more fun.
This is I'll get ahead of this. This is my favorite film of this set, and maybe one of my favorite films of all the Joe D'Amato we've watched.
Of all time.
Why? I don't know why this is, but for some reason this film seemed had more of a story. It had all the sleaze I would expect and hope for from a Joe D'Amato film, but it also had, I think, a fairly decent story and fairly decent stakes and kind of something to say about hypocrisy and the Catholic Church. And I mean, maybe I'm a sucker for this nunsploitation stuff, having had, you know, a Catholic upbringing and having
I was actually wondering about this. Were there nuns about when you were a kid?
I went to the Holy Rosary. You know this, Clive. You laughed at great length about the time when I do that. I went to a convent school for 2 years.
Did you wear a wimple?
I did not, Clive. No.
Oh, go on, say you did. Make my dreams come true.
No, myself and 5 other boys were allowed to attend the convent school for what in Ireland is called junior infants and senior infants, or low babies and high babies, which I.
So would you have been a low baby or a high baby?
I would have been both. I would have originally been a low baby, and I would have graduated to being a high baby, Clive.
Wow.
And so, and then you start first class, second class, third class, and up into secondary school. So yes. So the equivalent in Canada would be kindergarten. Like there's junior kindergarten and senior kindergarten.
Yeah, but that makes sense. That's not totally bonkers and archaic.
Anyway.
Okay. So
yes, so my life, I was disciplined. I was disciplined by nuns. I was spanked.
Okay, so the whole nun thing works for you then.
It makes a certain amount of sense to somebody who was hit on the bottom I climbed a tree in the schoolyard and a young nun came over and slapped me on the ass.
Wow, and that went straight in the wank back.
Apparently, I guess, because I do seem to have more time and sympathy and interest in any of this. And this is not the first nunsploitation, or at least, you know, kind of sexy religious film we've seen. We're going right to the beginning of D'Amato's films, or literally maybe one or two.
This is the thing. So this film, Convent of Sinners, is kind of So we watched Images in a Convent, right? Mm-hmm. Which was nominally based on Diderot's La Religieuse, or the Nun, right? Mm-hmm. And again, this one is kind of supposedly, but not really, based on Diderot.
But jump right back to Padre, like
that's true.
In the mix. The Canterbury tells us that this stuff has been in the mix from the very beginning.
Right. Again,
quite late in the day for a nunsploitation film.
It is. It is. But the way I put it, it's leftovers, but it's yummy leftovers, right? Like it's. You're quite right, Gav. It's like they're done and dusted. They don't make these anymore, but clearly they thought, we can probably squeeze. Well, let's put it all in. Let's have, you know, nuns for no good reason being topless when they're whipped, for example, and you'll do the holy water douche thing from the devils. Yeah, because that's the thing. They drag in a bit of exorcism as well, right? That's Eva Grimaldi's the young nun who's not really into being a nun at all, but she's been forced into it because her dad fucked her basically when she was a kid. So they put her into a convent to maybe absolve her of some kind of original sin, I guess, but she's not into it. And then the Mother Superior makes her moves. So then another nun, a jealous older nun, basically decides to twist her lack of interest in the cloister into full-out satanic possession, enter crooked, corrupt exorcist and Gabriel Tenti's Monsignor, right? And it's the greatest hits of nunsploitation, basically, right? It's by Kate Hell, right?
We have Martin Phillips back again as right. But this is the one where he plays the very ineffectual young
Morel,
absolute hypocrite. Which is, I think it's well done. Like, I thought all that stuff was good.
Yeah, well, the thing is, it's the greatest. It is all nuns just want to have fun, right? It's the, you know, messing about and bathing and fucking about and being naked and sexy and.
It's interesting too. The dub is interesting because it's almost all British voice actors. And it somehow, again, to me, slightly elevates proceedings for some reason. It seems classier because there's a bunch of English accents over the top, including the guy with the slight speech impediment who does the young priest.
Maurice Wodrick.
Exactly. I don't know. Like the music is great. There's lots of choir.
I agree with you. It is good, and yeah, and like you said, Gav, obviously someone figured out we can have one more run at this. There's enough pervs out there like Nick. We'll catch it, and they probably did. And yeah, this is probably the last hurrah of the. I know they've probably attempted it since, but I'm guessing this is probably the last really decent nunsploitation film, right?
I was thinking that Gabriel Tinto would have probably made a good Dracula based on his appearance in this. He's like a black hair, yeah.
That's true. I don't know if he did. Like he might. I don't know. Hiding somewhere in the Gabriel Tinto film. Did he play him in like a parody or something like that? Or I couldn't. Possibly he might do
Dracula.
Yeah. You're right, but then is it not true that the big inspiration or one of the big inspirations for James Bond was Christopher Lee?
Well, right? Yeah, he was the kind of OSS like spy hunter, right? Or Nazi hunter.
And friends with Ian Fleming and Fleming, right, sort of
related to Ian Fleming. He's like his cousin or something, isn't he?
Right. Yeah. So yeah, it makes sense. As I just said, Tinty also reminds me of Christopher Lee he reminds me of James Bond, and so yeah. Anyway, this movie's great. This might be one of my favorite filmy rage or however you say, filmy rage.
It's Film Rage for the readers of Rage magazine who want some films. Did we all like Convent of Sinners? Did you enjoy it, though?
Yeah, I thought it was very decent, like late period nunsploitation.
It's good.
Maybe I enjoyed the images of a convent a bit more. That one felt a bit more sensationalist.
Yeah,
this one, like
it's fresher as well, isn't it? It's fresher. Yeah.
Yes, it is missing
beans, but I like refried beans, but yeah,
it is missing. You're right. It's missing Donald O'Brien actually as the Exorcist, because he was amazing in the final scenes of the previous one, walking down the hall with all the girls coming out of the the various chambers.
And it's missing the hardcore oral rape in the forest as well.
Yes, for some reason I've forgotten that that's in the other one. Yes.
How could you forget that?
I don't know why. It's weird. I feel like I saw that scene entirely cut from. I think the first time I saw that movie, somebody just showed me that chunk of it. I think a friend of mine was like, "Oh, I just got this new D'Amato film. You've got to see this outrageous chunk of it." Yeah, and then the other thing was, so there's a scene, the thing that I really thought like had to, there's a slow tracking pan of the girls all basically washing together, topless with their like wimples on and laughing and splashing, and I was like, if that's Joe had to have been like, I love my fucking job, like that had to have been prime, like,
was it,
I get to do this for a living.
Was that what after games lessons was like in your high baby school that you went to? Was that?
Probably they didn't invite me, but no doubt.
So did you 5 boys have to do everything separately then?
No, I thought we've talked about this. I'm fairly certain before. No, I was in a class with 35 girls.
No, but games, for example, you played something else, or you all played hockey together, or did you not do games in the high baby, low baby?
No, we're pretty small. I think when you went outside for break time or whatever, you just ran around in a circle like a mad little 5-year-old.
Oh, you didn't have like a PE then? You didn't play basketball or something?
That's a good question. I don't actually remember. I have no memories of it before changing to the all boys school, but
something bad happened. I think you blocked it out.
Yeah.
Something involving an exorcist or a Monsignor who looked like Gabriel Tinty.
A syringe full of holy water, perhaps. Yes.
You don't like syringes, right?
I don't.
No. Putting it all together. That thing you bought for $90 was a wimple.
It might have been.
Yes. Sorry, that makes no sense to anyone, but we didn't record that bit. Anyway, so don't worry. We saved the worst to last.
Ooh, what are you talking about? Kay Maloney. Hey.
Yes.
That's my favorite line of the whole movie, by the way, is Kay Maloney.
DELIZIA.
DELIZIA.
1986, which is the name of our titular character, as played by Tini. What's her name? Cancino, right?
She's awful.
She was also in the star of Arabella the Black Angel, and another interesting credit. She's in a film called Nightmare in Venice, right? Which was based on the novel Traumaville by Arthur Schnitzler, which is the film that Kubrick based Eyes Wide Shut.
Oh. Okay.
I don't think he would have used Tini Cancino had either.
Probably not. No.
Yeah. No, she's.
I swear to God, her English dialogue in this sounds like oh, what the hell's his name from the Man on the Moon movie? Not Jim Carrey, but the one he's playing, Andy Kaufman. She's got a lot of like, thank you very much, like, yeah, just very disconcerting.
Seeing as it's not that interesting a film, I'll discuss another interesting credit. So one of the screenwriters is a guy called Riccardo Gione, right? And I was looking him up. He also directed a few films, including one. There's a film called The Blood-Stained Lawn, right? Look this up. Go to the IMDb or whatever. Look this up right now. Look up The Blood-Stained Lawn. The poster for this film is fucking awesome.
Okay.
I'm not actually going to. I'm just going to wait for the.
Yeah, no, I'm going there right now. Ooh, yes.
I have to do that.
What?
On Film Crack Rack.
There's no way the film is going to live up to whatever's happening in that.
But that is an awesome poster.
That is I would spend
$75 to $100. I found out I can get a copy of The Bloodstained Lawn.
Okay.
So it seems to be some kind of weird Soylent Green type SF kind of satire thing as well. So I'd never heard of it before.
From 73, that's really that's really early. Okay.
Yeah. So we'll be watching that, I think, even if it's rubbish. We'll
Agreed.
Yeah.
So this is Porky's basically. This is what this is. This is Porky's. And it's funny because I'm not wrong, right? But didn't D'Amato cast Pee-wee out of Porky's before he was Pee-wee out of Porky's, and then had to go find a guy who kind of looks like him to play the character again? Because they're our young whatever the hell his name is, this the young guy in this thing.
The guy on the motorbike.
Yeah.
Who hangs out with his friends in front of a cafe with a wind machine, and they wait for women in skirts to go past and flick the switch and hey! Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, he sucks. And there's a couple of scenes where like she's dancing and he's like he's got headphones and he's standing like right near like and just like
yeah, he also gives her the eyeball while she's sucking on an egg as well.
Yeah.
Really in her face, isn't he?
Got some weird, vaguely incel-y vibes going on.
But anyway, I guess she's an American model for Playmen magazine.
But that's a real magazine, right? So you know this. And she really did appear in it. And it seems like she got this part based on the fact that she appeared nude in this like Greek rip-off magazine of Playboy.
So she goes to Italy and basically, I guess, chased around by this young man who turns out to be her cousin, and she's there selling an Italian castle, and she's doing a deal with her family, so they eventually sell it to some Japanese people and have a garden party with a rock band. That's about all there is to it, really. Oh, and Laura Gemser is in it very briefly again as the guy who her photographer boyfriend is cheating on, but she goes back to him in the end after all, and Pee-wee is left all alone with his motorcycle. This was fucking awful is what this was.
Yeah.
Tell me I'm wrong.
No, you are right. Gav, do you wanna vent before I
sort of feels like sort of Joe had like depressed himself by making all these like period piece sort of thing, and then here just sort of like goes like hyper stupid and like it's really like aggressively 80s sort of frat comedy sort of thing.
It's like you said, Nick, it is his Porky's. It is his attempt at something along those lines, but it's just fucking it's just terrible.
I'm like obsessed with like American culture from the 80s. The guy's got like Rambo posters and
Yes.
Oh yeah, I was
Johnny-
wondering about that. Is that actually Rambo, or is it like Double Target or some rip-off like that or something?
Seemed
I
like
like
it was
Johnny-
actually Stallone.
Like during the scene where they fight, I think one of the guys does the "I must break you" line from Rocky IV.
Mm.
Oh yeah.
And then there's two different references to 9.5 Weeks at different parts of the film. People bring it up in the dialogue.
Which is interesting because in our next show,
Yes, he's literally about to make a rip off.
11 weeks. Yeah.
Also, that is manifestly not a real airport they're in at the end. That looks like somebody's living room that they're shooting in. Like, because again, like a few years back, you know, like he would have gone to the effort of going to something that looked like an airport, like in any of those Emmanuel films. But like, yeah,
just that sort of living room with the model of an airplane on the table.
exactly.
That is for an airport.
Yeah.
Even if you're primed for trash, which I was, this is just substandard. It's just rubbish. I mean,
yeah. But I quite like the band. Whoever the band was, that when they like the kids are having their party and there's some band that's really rocking out at it, but I'm sure that whatever music is playing over the top is not whatever they're playing. They look more like they're the Clash or something, and then we're getting more schmaltzy kind of pop. But yeah, it stinks.
So we've had some highs, we've had some lows in this batch, haven't we, fellas? Have we learned anything? Is it any summation, or are we going to wait until we're all done and dusted with all? Can you believe we'll have actually watched all 100? Well, 200 actually, kind of almost. I mean, that's a bit bonkers, really, isn't it?
How many more, roughly speaking, episodes do we have of the semi-legit cinema before we get to our extra episode?
4.
Okay, that's okay. So we are over the hump now. We're on the downward spiral.
Yeah, and you may have spoken too soon there, Nick.
I guess depending on the quality of the films.
Yes, I mean, to be honest, there was a bit more of interest here than I expected. So you never know. You never know. Looking
we have at least one more Ator film in there somewhere, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
yes, that's something
to look forward to.
That's a very good thing.
Okay, then. So with that in mind, we shall bid you adieu until next time, where we shall bring you some more tin tomato goodness.
Cheerio.
Take care. Yeah,